Hello everyone, here, and I'm back with another episode of Pithy's Budget Brews. And today I'm talking about Sek'kuar Deathkeeper. And Sek'kuar, what he does is, whenever another non-token creature you control is put into the graveyard from play, put a 3/1 black and red Graveborn creature token with haste into play. So you want to play him as kind of more of a sacrifice style deck, so you can abuse the tokens that he gives you. It's basically kind of like that's how you do it. Is play him a sacrifice or a way to kill your stuff for value. With what I did is I of course went for sacrifice. In fact, SQR is one of my personal commanders, and I actually really like him. Now we're delving back here into Cold Snap, block. But block, it's not really a block, but set. I just thought I'd put in a little fun commander. This is one of the commanders I personally like, and I think he's really fun to build around. Pretty cheap too. So let's get into it. So we got Viserys here. These are like the sacrifice outlet type stuff, like either free or cheap sacrifices. Viserys here, 1 mana, 1/1, second creature, scry 1. Perfect. It's cheap, it's efficient, it does what we want it to do, it also gives us a way to put bad cards to the bottom of our deck. Scarlet Thrynax, 3 mana, Jund, 2/2, sacrifice a creature, put a +1/+1 counter on it. It's basically another Carrion Feeder, which we also have in the deck. Spawning Pit, 2 mana, second creature, put charge counter on it, and pay 1, remove 2 charge counters from Spawning Pit, and then put a 2/2 spawn artifact creature token into play. And it just gives us more sack fodder, pretty much. It gives us a 2/2 to sack and all that stuff. Now, of course, it has to be for Sek'kuar to trigger, it has to be a non-token creature, but, I mean, it'd be pretty broken if it was just any creature, because you could just get a Graveborn, infinitely kill it. But yeah, Spawning Pit is just a good value card to have. It gives us, a sacrifice outlet, and it gives us a way to kind of still get value off of certain cards. And then Croft, of course, has to be in the deck. 5 mana, 3/3. It has partner with Regna, but Regna is white, so we can't play it. And we don't really need her in this deck anyways. But play black, sacrifice X creatures, target player draws X cards and gains X life, and then put X +1/+1 counters on Croft. Cheap, efficient, powerful sacrifice effect on him, and that's one reason why he's on the list in the deck, is because he's, surprisingly, I think he's cheap price-wise, and he's just powerful. Good value card. Next up we have things that care about other stuff dying. So Pitiless Plunderer, 4 mana, 1/4. Whenever another creature you control dies, create a treasure token. And treasure has tap, sack this artifact to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. So the cool thing about this is it says another creature. So even if our Graveborns die, we'll still get a treasure. Even though they're tokens, he doesn't say non-token. He just says whenever another creature you control, which is good. So the book Cutthroat, this Blood Artist and Falconwrath Noble are pretty much our standard win conditions, I would say. Because we're going to be killing our own things and then dealing damage to people with those cards. And he just, whenever it or another creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. And for Noble and Blood Artist, it's whenever a creature dies, and then it's only target player. So, kind of how that is. Stalking Vengeance is one of my favorite cards in this deck. 7 mana, 5/5 haste. Whenever another creature you control is put into the graveyard from play, it deals damage equal to its power to target player. So whenever you kill something with Sek'kuar, in play, you get a Graveborn, which has 3 power. So not only can you shoot them for the creature that died, you can also shoot them for an additional 3 more damage if you were to kill your Graveborn. So essentially gives you tons of damage to people's face really quickly. And it's just an amazing card. It's one of my favorite cards to play. Next up, we have Reanimation. Reanimation is important in this deck because what we want to do is we want to get rid of our creatures. We're playing 36 creatures, roughly. 36, 37, something like that. It's about kind of where you want to be. So we want ways to get them back, so we can, in order to trigger Sek'kuar again. So we have Dawn of the Dead. One of my favorite cards, Torment. 5 mana. It does require triple black, so it might be a little hard to actually pull this off, but it's a good card. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life. And at the beginning of your upkeep, you may return to a creature card from your graveyard to play. The creature gains haste, and then remove it from the game at the end of turn. So how this card would work is that the creature has to be in play in order for it to actually be removed from the game. So you could just sacrifice a creature, and then you get to keep it in your graveyard. It's very simple. I think losing the 1 life literally means nothing if you can generate so much value off of your stuff. Most of the time, we're going to have plenty of ways to sacrifice a creature, whether it be for 1 mana or for free, or for a few more mana. But we'll have a way to be able to get value off of this card. Doom Necromancer and Apprentice Necromancer both make an appearance in the deck as well. Both of these cards are one of my favorite cards for reanimation. Sek'kuar loves it when stuff dies. Well, both Necromancers sacrifice themselves to get a creature back. So with the Apprentice Necromancer, it gives the card haste, and it sacrifice it at the end of turn. So then you'd get 2 triggers off of Sek'kuar for that, and then Doom Necromancer just permanently puts it in. And you also get a token off of him coming back. Next up we have Whisper, Blood Lethargist, 4 mana, 2/2. So what's cool about this is you can sacrifice 2 creatures, and then get 2 Graveborns, if they were non-token creatures, to reanimate a creature. And then you can sacrifice 2 Graveborns to get another creature back on the next turn, because obviously Whisper taps. But it's really cool because it's like, essentially you could just basically reanimate for free, essentially, twice. And you can keep doing it, but of course, like, you're eventually going to run out of creatures. Even if you're reanimating a creature, you're still, you're getting back 1 instead of just sacrificing 2 creatures for 1. So, but like, it could be a really good one. Like, if you could afford it, you could put a Wormcoil in here, and that's a great reanimation target, which is in my standard Sek'kuar deck, but it's like a $20 card. So, but that's kind of like an example of a good reanimation target, and something that you could use even in combination with Whisper as well to work out that stuff. So next up we have Card Advantage, which is either physical card draw or dig till you find a card, or XL. So we have Dark Dweller Oracle, which is one of my favorite new cards from Core Set 2019. 2 mana, 2/2. Pay 1, sack a creature, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. So it does say whenever you can play it. So even if it's a land, you can still play it if you hadn't played a land, which is important to note. It says play and not cast. So essentially, this card is just another good outlet to gain card advantage and not really lose out on stuff. Because, like, say you have a full hand, you don't really want to Skull Clamp, because you don't want to draw the 2 and end up discarding, because you're not going to really do much with what your hand is at. So then Dark Dweller Oracle can give you the option of, like, keeping your hand size from being overflown and getting a card off the top of your library. So you're kind of like thinning cards off the top of your deck. And there's really no downside to playing this card, really, in my opinion. I think it's just great. Smothering Abomination, 4 mana, 4/3, flying. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice creature, and when you sacrifice creature, draw a card. This is a sacrifice deck. We are going to be sacrificing creatures on a daily basis, pretty much. We are going to be drawing a ton of cards off of Smothering Abomination. It is no joke. This card is seriously powerful, and it's basically a staple in any sacrifice deck because it's just so good. because a lot of them just say whenever a non-token creature dies, or something like that, and this one just says sacrifice. So you can sacrifice your Eldrazi spawns or scions, and then you get a card off of that. So you're getting 1 mana and you're getting a card, which is good. We do play both of the ones that actually do play make the scions and spawns. Pawn of Ulamog and Sifter of Skulls are both in here, so those are really good combos with Smothering Abomination. Next we have Evolutionary Leap. 2 mana, pay green, sacrifice a creature, reveal the top card of your library until you reveal a creature card, put that card into your hand, and the rest in the bottom of your library in any order. This is a great card in this deck. Essentially means that you can kind of always hit a creature off of it, of course until you run out. But you can do something that's really fun, is that you can just sacrifice a grave board. So you're sacrificing a token to get a better card. Because the grave boards are only 3/1s. You know, like they're kind of like not really that impressive on the board. I mean, if you have a lot of them, yeah, but they're really fun to kind of like do little fun synergies with. So you just sacrifice it to get this and stuff like that. Same reason why Skull Clamp is here on the list here. They are 3/1, so if you Skull Clamp it, it immediately dies, and then you get to draw 2 cards for essentially free, pretty much. And it's just great value engines with these 2 cards, is that you can just, you know, always get creatures, even if it's not a great creature, you can still sacrifice it, or Skull Clamp it if you have that, so it kind of gives you cool stuff like that to play around with. Now, here's some cards that, personally, I think are fun and great additions to the deck. Whenever I play a green sacrifice deck, I always put in Fido Titan. I know this card doesn't look very good. It is a 6 mana 7/2. You know, it's not really that great. But what I'd use it for is the effect. Whenever it dies, return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control at the beginning of his or her next upkeep. So what it does is, whenever it dies, it just comes back, and then you get to sack it again, and then it'll come back. So it's like a never-ending cycle of, like, on every single turn, you'll be able to get rid of this card for value. You can do, like, Evolutionary Leap. You can, you know, just sacrifice it to scry 1, all this other cool stuff. And then, with Sek'kuar in play, if you're sacrificing it, you'll be getting a grave board for free, because this card's always going to be coming back unless someone exiles it. But I mean, honestly, who's going to exile this thing? It's not like oppressive or anything. It's just a really cool combo, and it is just awesome. I love this card personally. It's in every one of my green decks, and it has never, or every one of my green sacrifice decks, and it's never failed me. It's awesome. We have. And also really good with the Stalking Vengeance. You're shooting someone for 7 every time this thing dies, so it's pretty sweet. Reincarnation, 3 mana, instant speed, choose target creature. When that creature dies, this turn return a creature card from its owner's graveyard to the battlefield under the control of that creature's owner. So, what this card reads is, whenever the chosen creature dies, you can get back that creature or another creature from your graveyard, or from that person's graveyard. So it's just a really good way of, like, a good reanimation spell, because, like, you could be like, oh well, Sek'kuar died, so, or is getting ready to die, I'm gonna cast Reincarnation on him, let him go to the graveyard, and then get him back. Style of play. Or you could, you know, for example, put it on something that you're going to kill anyways, and then just get back something else. So it can be a cool reanimation spell, and it's a very great card, in my personal opinion. So I think it's worth putting in. It's, you know, it's in the precon for the Posh precon for 2013, which is a good card for that. Next we got Shifting Shadow, which this card is very fun to play with. 3 mana, enchant creature. Enchant creature has haste, and at the beginning of your upkeep, destroy this creature and reveal the top card of your library until you reveal a creature card. Put the card onto the battlefield and attach Shifting Shadow to it. And then put all other cards this way on the bottom of your library in a random order. This card is fun. You could put this on any like horrible creature, let's say Graveborn, for example, right? And then you could just get a great card off of it, or not so great card, but it's kind of like the luck of the draw type thing. If you want to have fun and play the game and like just enjoy the game, Shifting Shadow is a great fun card because it gives you a polymorph effect that is just fun to play with. The creature has haste, so you get value off of it pretty much immediately. You know, if it has a tap effect, or if it needs to attack, something like that, you do get value off of it. And once that creature dies, you get a Graveborn. It's simple, you know, because it will be a non-token creature, and it will die because of Shifting Shadow's text, and you will get back. You will get at least a Graveborn back from it, which is cool. So you basically don't lose too much value off of that card. And you can always reanimate it back if you really wanted it. Another great card. I tried to put the back on here too because it's kind of important. Journey to Eternity. 3 mana, enchant creature you control. When enchant creature dies, return it to the battlefield under your control, and then return Journey to Eternity to the battlefield transformed under your control. So, and then the back half is at Zal, Cave of Eternity. Sorry if I butchered that, but I mean it's a weird name. Tap, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool, and then 3 black-green. Tap, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. This is great recursion. Lands are known to be some of the hardest things to deal with. Now, yes, people have like Strip Mine, Ghostly Quarters, Field of Ruins, and stuff like that. But usually those are saved for super powerful cards. And I mean, I wouldn't say like this is a weak card. I'm just saying that maybe like they already used it on, you know, something else like a Gaia's Cradle, or if you don't have that much money, like, you know, Emiria. But this is a great card. You know, both effects are good because it gives you, in a sacrifice deck, it gives you value to kill one of your creatures, get it back, and then you get a land that can reanimate creatures pretty cheaply, I would say, for a constant reanimation. So it's just a very good card, in my personal opinion. And once again, it's like every green-black sacrifice deck I play this card. It's just great. I love it. Next up, we have 2 of the more important cards to the deck, which is Dictate of Erebos and Butcher of Malakir. So, while we are sacrificing creatures to get Graveborns, we want to be able to attack with the Graveborns because they have haste and they want to be able to get in. We want to get you know, damage through, and it's really hard to do that whenever people are, you know, clogging up the board with their creatures. And like I said, they're 3/1s, so they'll just die in combat, most likely. So we have ways to clear the board. Dictate of Erebos, whenever we kill one of our creatures, or whenever they die, each opponent sacrifices a creature, and Butcher of Malakir has the same text. But it has to be put into the graveyard from the battlefield, of course. It doesn't have the dies text, but has basically the exact same thing. So this is just a way for us to get through people, and to kind of also as a removal spells, pretty much. You know, turn each of our creatures into a removal spell to get rid of other stuff. We do have several other ways to get rid of creatures, like sacrifice ways, like Vona's Hunger and stuff like that. So, I mean, we do have other ways of doing it, but these 2 are very important, which is one reason why Dictate is in here, even though it's a $6 card. You know, it's still very important to have one of these, or 2 of these, that way you always have, hopefully always have a copy. Next up, these are our cards that well, for Mazarek, if they stay in play long enough, we just win the game, or we just win the game straight up. So, Mazarek Sek'kuar Deathkeeper, 5 mana, 2/2, flying. Whenever a player sacrifices another permanent, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. So, this works with the Grave Packs. They'll be sacrificing their creatures, we'll be getting counters on our stuff. So not only will we be able to get in damage, we'll be able to get in more damage than we normally would have. And this is a powerful card. Now, with Mazarek, a lot of the times you have to have a good setup with Mazarek. Otherwise, he is a horrible card in some situations, but could be amazing in other situations. It really depends on how the board is. If it's not in a good position to actually play Mazarek, probably don't play him. He probably will just literally die to a removal spell, because he is a very scary card, and, you know, not really that great in most situations. But if you have a good setup with him, he is amazing. He's basically I win the game style card. As if we have Torrent of Souls, now this is probably like a weird thing to see on here. 4 mana hybrid of red and black, so you can pay either or. And then return up to 1 target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield if black was spent to cast it, and then if red was spent to cast it, creature target player controls get +2/+0 and gain haste. So this is essentially our little overrun, I guess, quote, not really. And also if you paid black and red, you get to do both. So it's a reanimation spell that could also potentially allow us to win the game. We're going to have, hopefully, a pretty big board, and getting an extra 2 damage might actually help. Or 2 power might actually help us win. Or at least kill someone. Now, this is a card that I personally think that is one of the better cards for this deck, which is Breath of Fury. 4 mana, enchanted creature you control. When enchanted creature deals combat damage to a player, sacrifice it and attach Breath of Fury to a creature you control. If you do, untap all creatures you control, and after this combat phase, there's an additional combat phase. So, with Sek'kuar in play, if we have 5 creatures, for example, 5 non-token creatures, and X amount of Graveborns, I won't go into specifically like that, but we toss Breath of Fury on one of the creatures that's not Sek'kuar, and then we attack with it. It deals combat damage. We sacrifice it, get a Graveborn, stick it on one of the other creatures, and then just keep that going. And we basically keep it going, and we're not really losing too much damage, and we just kill everybody in 5 or 6 combats, or however many combats you want to take with this thing. And it is super good card. I love this card. And with Sek'kuar, it is immensely powerful. It's definitely something that to not glance over and be like, oh, I don't know if that's going to be good. Most likely it will be pretty sweet. But yeah, it's really good. And it's great win condition. So something that I will talk about, it's not in this deck, but you could do something that could give you infinite Graveborns, which is also cool. Which is just having either like a Malira, I believe, the anti-counter infect one. I believe it's Malira. And a Murderous Redcap. So Malira or Machias. Murderous Redcap, sack outlet. You can with Sek'kuar in play, you can get infinite Graveborns, so you can, obviously do that. But that would require you to spend money, a lot of money on Mazarek, or not Mazarek, Machias, or Malira. I don't think Malira is actually that much anymore, but, and also you have a do nothing card in your deck, but it's another thing that you can kind of like think of. It's, a cool thing, which is good. And that does end the deck tech. It was a bit shorter because, obviously it's a sacrifice deck. A lot of the other cards are more support cards for either reanimation, ramp, sacrifice outlets. I kind of just gave you the gist of the deck. Like there's a few other cards in here that are like cool, fun cards. Stronghold Assassin, sacrifice creature, just try to run on that creature. We do have other cards like Den Protector and Green Warden of Marasa to get back any card from our graveyard, as opposed to just a creature. Watch the Tor is in here, another way to force people to sacrifice creatures, and of course if they don't have a creature, we get a token. So like, there's a lot of stuff like that. The deck is $92. Like I said, it could be cheaper if you don't want to play Dictative Erebos. It could be cheaper. Personally, this is one of my favorite commanders. Period. I love this commander. I have a personal Sek'kuar deck. It is kind of expensive. It's like about $250, but it is great. I love it. And I think this is definitely a commander that you should not just glance over and be like, oh, I don't know, maybe he's not that good. I think he is very fun and could be potentially very good depending on how you end up building him. So I hope you guys liked the video. I hope you guys liked the deck, and you know, leave a comment, subscribe. I want to be able to have more stuff on the channel that's not just Commander, because not everybody plays Commander, so we'll try and get some stuff up hopefully pretty soon, if not already. So yeah, I will see you guys next time.